I'm not one for comparison, and I don't know if it's just me thinking this, but why does it feel like everyone has a lot more money than I do? I went to the mall the other day, and as I drove into the parking lot, every other car was BMW, Audi, Mercedes, Range Rovers, Teslas. There were loads of Range Rovers. Aren't those cars pretty much uninsurable right now because they just get stolen within a few minutes? We are living through a very tough period right now with the cost of rent, gas, clothing, housing. Everything has got so much more expensive due to inflation. However, everyone in the mall was wearing expensive clothing and carrying designer handbags. I went into Victoria's Secret with my partner, and it was so busy it looked like they were giving knickers out for free. The Foot Locker and Nike stores were ram-packed, and everyone was wearing some expensive Nike Air Jordans, and I felt like I was the only one with my 2-year-old New Balances. Think about it, how can it be that literally everyone has got more money than you or I do? Well, for starters, most of them don't. The unspoken truth of the seemingly wealthy is debt, and a lot of it. For a lot of people, the nice things they own, they don't really own them. Their car is financed, their house is mortgaged to the max. Every single thing they own, they are paying in installments, down to the trainers on their feet. And so while they may appear to be rich, they're actually not. They're actually really broke. They owe so much money that they most likely never get out of debt or be able to retire, which is not something to be envious of. And God knows what having all of that debt does to their mental health. If you ask me, the weirdest part of all of this is that in a lot of these cases, people are actually making fairly decent money. Like, they may not be rich, but they should be comfortable. But it seems they never will be. They're living so far beyond their means. But what about when that's not the case? I mean, not everyone is drowning in debt trying to act rich. A lot of people genuinely do have a lot of money, and there are many jobs out there that are known to pay well into the six figures. Medicine, law, investment banking, software development, just to name a few. The people working in these fields generally do make a lot of money, and they have the means to live an expensive lifestyle. Look, we all make choices, and technically you could have chosen to go into one of those fields and made a lot of money too. Personally, there's no amount of money that could entice me to become a doctor and live that extremely stressful life. But clearly, not everyone feels that way. If someone wants to stick their fingers into strangers' orifices for a living and deal with people's nasty issues and infections for a living, you know what? They can have their nice Range Rover. I'm happy with my trusty 5-year-old BMW. Now, in some cases, people might have generational wealth, and they might come from a long line of affluence and get help from their families, either by having things directly bought for them, an inheritance, or a job in the family firm. Now, let's talk about the comparison trap. As the saying goes, comparison is a thief of joy. And in my opinion, that has never been more relevant than now. People are living a very materialistic, vacuous, and shallow existence, all to play keeping up with the Joneses. Look, no matter who you are and how much you have, there will always be someone who's got more than you. Even multi-billionaires like Bill Gates, Mark Zuckerberg, Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, they are constantly in competition with each other to be the richest person on the planet. Like, to think of it, each of them has more money that they can spend in 100 lifetimes. They each have more money than the whole GDP of several countries. But the idea that somebody has a little bit more than them still drives them. To be honest, in my opinion, it's a sickness. Really, you shouldn't feel the need to impress anyone but yourself. Look, your neighbor might have a nicer car than you, and that may make you feel momentarily bad. However, their boss may well have an even nicer car than them, and what you don't know is they actually feel exactly the same way as you do. It used to be that we only really saw what the people closest to us were up to. So if we felt compelled to keep up with anyone, it would be our neighbors, our friends, or our family. We might even have some context as to how they are able to afford the things that they buy. However, thanks to social media, everyone has a platform to boast about everything they do, everywhere they go. If some young person buys a house and doesn't post a selfie in front of the sold sign with some trite caption, then did it really happen? It's also really important to remember that all you're really seeing on social media is a highlight reel. No one is posting about their overdraft, their credit card debt, or the fact that that dress that they wore to the night out, they promptly went and returned it the next day to the store. If people boasted about their lows or their bills, even half as much as they posted about their highs, you'd soon start to realize that you're not really missing out on anything at all. You're not seeing the sacrifices that someone could be making to afford the lifestyle that they have. They could be sacrifices that you and I would never really be willing to make for anything. Like I said, I'm not poking around someone's butt for a sports car. What we don't see is that the person with the high-paying job is working 70 hours a week and missing out on time with the loved ones, all to afford that latest model of Mercedes-Benz. What you won't see is that someone who's traveling all the time is only able to afford it because they're sharing a 2-bedroom apartment with 3 friends and building up a lot of credit card debt as they travel. One of my friends owns a few investment properties that they bought in the last few years, which is quite an expensive business to get into. But they're a multi-generational family. There are 4 people living in one house, all contributing to the bills, living very, very frugally. Their cost of living is a lot lower than yours or mine. The point is that you never really know what someone's circumstances may be and how they may be different to yours. And on that note, you may have different goals to other people, and that's perfectly fine. That's always been the case for me. I've always had relatively big goals and worked hard towards them and practiced delayed gratification to achieve them. I'm perfectly happy to drive a decent, slightly older car, not go to the restaurant every week, and live a fairly simple life if that means that brings me closer to financial independence and retiring early. When I think about it, there's nothing that I can think of that I want to buy that is more appealing to me than having a life where my time is my time and I don't have a boss or anyone to answer to. I can just do what pleases me when I want. However, understandably, not everyone feels that way. Some people prefer to splurge today and worry about tomorrow. Well, tomorrow they may be perfectly willing to work until they're 65 or 75 years old if it means that they can buy the shiny trendy things they want right now. Will they actually feel that way when they get to that age? Probably not. But then that's their choice to make. I think a lot of people, especially when they're younger, fail to realize how their priorities and their goals will change as they get older. When you're in your 20s, it's hard to imagine what your life will look like in 20 years, let alone 40 or 50 years time. See, when you're young and healthy, it's hard to imagine still having to work while you're old and sick. But that's what a lot of people have to do. However, I'm not suggesting that everyone should live a really frugal life, a life full of deprivation just to save for retirement. That doesn't make sense. That's not what I'm saying. Not at all. You can and should enjoy your life today and treat yourself to things. Just do it in a reasonable way, which is relative to your income, and maybe enjoy more experiences rather than buying trendy, fashionable designer items. Plan for it and budget for it so it doesn't affect your long-term goals. Finally, we all know while some people are rich, some are just in heaps of debt, just trying to look rich. And then there's others that don't even have the things they claim to own. For real, there's an entire industry out there, industry of influencers taking a picture in front of mansions or sports cars, pretending they're theirs when they're not. They're just rented for that picture or for the video. Back in the day, even Hollywood celebrities and musicians would go out and rent a whole bunch of cars to look richer. They would park them, line them up on their driveway on that show MTV Cribs that used to be quite popular, and they used to claim that they were theirs. Talking about influencers, there's so many young guys on social media, guys who've just hit puberty, talking about how they made their millions and generally telling bullcrap stories to try to make themselves look more interesting and wealthy, also they can sell other young impressionable kids a course on how to get wealthy and how to make money. So I say all of this to point out that despite how it may look on the outside, most people are probably not actually doing that much better than you are. That's all for now. Feel free to subscribe if you already haven't done so. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one.